I got something huge to share with you, okay? I did some deep thinking here and I've discovered something huge. I can pretty much prove to you that the 2020 budget has reforms inside of it. Okay? Let's get into this, okay? This article is about the 2020 budget. The Finance Committee of the House of Representatives expects the draft budget for 2020 approved by the council ministers at its special session held on Monday, September 14th, to reach Parliament on Sunday due to the discrepancy in the information concerning the budget vocabulary and the accusation of delaying it. We issued a statement confirming that its bill did not reach the House of Representatives, okay? Al-Safar stressed that the figures circulated by the media on the vocabulary of the budget bill are untrue. So again, right there, he just told you that the figures circulated by the vocabulary of the budget. Guys, the figures means the budget amount, the amount of dinar inside the budget, what it's funded for, are untrue. So this is now the second time you're seeing that. Pointing out that he cannot currently declare the vocabulary of the budget officially despite being informed. The media has circulated mixed figures regarding the 2020 budget bill as a percentage of its deficit, okay? The amount of it needs to be borrowed internally and externally. That's huge, that's critical. Okay, so they're telling you they have to borrow internally and externally for the budget, but let's get into that now. Internal borrowing is used for different purposes than external borrowing, okay? But they're telling you, let's finish this. It says to secure the salaries of employees and retirees, okay? Borrowing bill to pay salaries. This is the original borrowing bill that Iraq's parliament passed on June 25th, guys. Let's look at the highlights here. She added that the government will go directly to the central bank to prepare the loan through the use of the Rafidin and Rashid banks, indicating that the internal loan will be to pay salaries and external investment projects. External investment projects, guys, that is your reforms. So they're telling you right there, some of the internal loan money is going to be used for investment projects, being the reforms, okay? But the main part of this is the internal borrowing. They can only use internal money for loans. I'm sorry, not for loans, for retirees' salaries and government official salaries, okay? So they can only use those for salaries, okay? So again, internal loans are for government officials and retirees' salaries. That's all for. They can't borrow externally for the salaries because that would put them into debt to another country for salaries. So again, internal loans is only for salaries and so forth, okay? They cannot borrow externally for salaries. That's what I'm trying to show you. Now here's a generic article from August. They went to pay salaries. Let's look at the highlights. It says the Rashid Bank announced Tuesday, that the salaries of the State Department, so right there they're telling you the Rashid Bank paid some of the salaries clear back in August, guys. Again, internal loans, okay? That's what that's for. Let's look at what external is for. Right here it says Iraq seeks an IMF loan for Saudi investments to boost oil-battered economy. Right here, Iraq is in talks with the International Monetary Fund and is seeking Saudi investments in the natural gas fields as Baghdad tries to bolster the battered economy in the face of the coronavirus and low energy prices. The IMF in Iraq is in talks with the International Monetary Fund for a loan is seeking Saudi investments in natural gas and ties to bolster its battered economy to face the coronavirus and low energy prices. The IMF and Iraq are in intensive negotiations about a loan that would probably be a maximum of $5 billion. I'm stopping right there. That's external borrowing. Do you remember how on August 20th, Iraq went to Washington, met with U.S. companies, and signed $8.2 billion worth of agreements? Guys, that's where they got the money from, like things like this, external borrowing. You know that all of those agreements they signed, one of which was a $1.2 billion agreement out of the 8.2, they had a $1.2 billion agreement with GE to upgrade their power grid. Again, that's reconstruction reforms, okay? Let me see okay, so that's it, guys. But anyway, here's what I'm showing you. The external loans are for reforms, guys. And I just showed you again. Let's go back to the first article. Right here. Last paragraph. They borrowed internally and externally in the 2020 budget. Right there, they're telling you that. They borrowed internally and externally for the 2020 budget. And I just proved to you internal borrowing is only for salaries, not external. They just showed you that clearly. Guys, external borrowing are for massive projects such as the $1.2 billion agreement with GE. And they just told you in this article right here. Again, this article is for the 2020 budget. At the top there, when we look at the last paragraph, it has external and internal borrowing. So when you study that, you can see internal borrowing is only for salaries. External borrowing is for like investment projects and the agreements they just signed in Washington. Okay, in fact, many of you guys were coming out saying, how is Iraq able to get all these loans? Why is Iraq getting all these loans? Now you're seeing it. All these loans Iraq got probably like around June and July timeframe, guys. They got all those, and maybe August. They got all those loans. That's when you guys were surprised Iraq was able to get all those loans kind of from June to August. But they did it for these agreements that they signed and sealed on August 20th while they were in Washington with U.S. companies. So, guys, there you go. I just factually proved to you the reforms are inside the 2020 budget, and that is why Iraq is hiding. And now I've proved to you twice, Iraq is hiding the budget figures and numbers from you, and Iraq's parliament is delaying the approval process of the Iraq budget. And they are most likely delaying it, guys, because like I just showed you this morning, they've had to arrest over 1,000 people. They can't change the rate when they have thousands of corrupt figures in the government. There's no way in heck they can allow the rate to change when they have to arrest well over 1,000 people, guys. That's too much. Okay, that arresting that amount of people, they have to delay the rate change. They have to. That's too many people. Okay, so that's most likely the reason right now. While the rate change has been delayed, they're going to need probably just a few more weeks. The fact that they told you they made these arrests should tell you they're at the end of the corruption, dealing with it. So they're pretty much like right at the end of dealing with corruption. They probably just have a little bit more to go. But guys, that's what I wanted to bring to you, that right here they're telling you, because they've told us that there's internal and external borrowing in that 2020 budget, guys. It has reforms in it. Otherwise, they wouldn't need to do external borrowing. Okay, because the external borrowing is only for investment projects, which is the reforms, and internal borrowing is the loans and is the salaries. Hey, you guys are the best. Have a great day. Take care.